Hello, hope everyone's doing well. It's Cameron here. Inflation figures just came out for the US, so I thought I'd make another video. Um, I'm very tired. I've just started my summer internship. I'm still in my gym clothes because I haven't got as much time anymore. But yeah, thought I'd still make a video because I wanted to talk about it, especially on the day it came out. So anyway, yeah, figures came out a couple of hours ago. It's 9.1%, which, as far as I'm aware, was above expectations. Um, and if we have a look at this graph here, you can see that I think it was around, there was an oil crisis around here, which I'll get into later. But you can see basically how inflation spiking again. Um, and I think some of the articles I was reading was about whether people believe that it will be like another double spike because a lot of the catalysts are the same. And like I was saying with oil, um, along the lines of we'll have a recession now, as in like the US has already had a recession, and then we'll have another minor one in 2023. But yeah, just thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, the article goes into quite a bit about how bad it is. So like fastest pace since 1981. Um, However, it does highlight something which I want to get into a little bit later in more detail. But it talks about how energy prices are coming down, and commodity prices are also coming down. And I mentioned it a little bit last time, but yeah, because those basically because those areas are going down, and I saw speculation about June being the peak. However, um, my problem with that is that I believe energy prices are still so volatile depending what Russia does going into the winter. I don't think it's like guaranteed that it'll come back down anytime soon. And if Russia shuts off oil to Europe more than it has, if they do it completely, then it'll obviously impact it massively. Um, but yes, next thing I wanted to talk about was look at where the Big Four sees the S&P 500 going. I unfortunately don't have access to the article, so I've had to print screen it because I'm poor and can't afford to subscribe to all these different article places. But yeah, it's just got some of the different predictions by some of the places. So Wells Fargo predicted, oh no, Morgan Stanley, sorry, predicting about it's about a 10% 10% drop because it's at 3,800, I believe it closed at today. Yeah. So they believe it's going to go down a little bit, whereas Wells Fargo sort of think it's going to remain flat. I'd probably be in that camp, mainly because there's so many positive and negative catalysts going about. I feel like it could go anywhere at this point, which is suppose why you see such a hard range. Like Oppenheimer and Co. The reason they're on there, despite not being as sort of famous as the other ones, is because they just brought down their prediction from 5,300, just down to 4,800. Which yeah, and that all of obviously Credit Suisse, Oppenheimer, and Citigroup have got much more bullish things about the S&P. And yeah, I thought it'd just be interesting because I haven't covered sort of the big banks, what they think is going to happen. That being said, with the high interest, with the high inflation rates coming through, where do I believe interest rates are going to go? So yeah, so originally I was going to argue, well, to be honest, I still believe this, but because inflation rates are higher than expectations, obviously the Fed's going to do another, obviously they're always planning on doing another interest rate hike, but I feel like it's going to be 75 basis points more than 50. I feel like people thought it was going to be 75 or 50 anyway, but most people were swaying towards 75. And now that inflation rates are higher than people thought, it's definitely going to be 75. However, I did get directed to an article which is this one. I don't know why it's just a document saying words, sorry. But yeah, I did get directed to an article which is basically Cathie Wood talking about what she believes the Fed should be doing. And she's basically talking about how the I didn't actually know this, but it does make sense in sort of theory. So the CPI she's claiming is actually like got quite a bit of lag in it. So the commodity prices of like gold, the US dollar, yield points. I think the other one she mentions is copper and yeah, oil. Obviously, oil's gone down as well. But the price of all of these are going down. And she basically makes the argument that if the fundamentals, like the almost like the raw materials of the market, are going down in prices, but prices are going up, that can't be the reason why prices are increasing. So she turns around and says, I think she sort of summarized it quite well at the bottom here, which is that she believes it's more of an inventory problem. So like I mentioned it a couple of videos ago about how obviously China's in like heavy lockdown, so there was big supply chain issues there. Russia's obviously restricting oil, which is big supply chain issues there. And she's basically saying she doesn't believe that the higher prices are because of that. She's basically saying the higher prices are because of limited supply, essentially. So yeah, she basically, I think, yeah. So summary was like gold was down 20%. I think was the main point I put on. But yeah, so it basically comes down to whether I still think the Fed should increase interest rates. I'm not particularly experienced on whether this would be, whether like I still think if inflation rates increase massively, like it's 9.1%, interest rates still need to go up. But she obviously thinks they should go down. And she also claims that there'll be a massive pivot in the Fed once they realise this. But yeah. So the next article is about today's energy crisis will probably become worse than the 1970s oil shock. So it's a bit about oil, but unfortunately, again, I can't afford to subscribe to Market Watch, so you're just going to have to trust me on what it says because I've read it off somebody else. But yeah, so the five factors that it talks about could create higher prices. I've mentioned quite a few of them already, but it's Russia cutting back on natural gas to Europe. So obviously, oil is like a basic raw material and transport in a lot of products. So obviously that causes prices to go up quite a bit. And the nuclear deal with Iran is unlikely. So that's obviously going to be no new energy coming in as well. Then regarding oil, although the Saudis, I think I covered this a little bit as well, although the Saudis are are likely to step up their production, they're already operating at near capacity. So even if they do step up production, it's not going to be by a significant amount, which is going to cause prices to come back down. Next, China's demand for oil has been reduced by zero COVID. So obviously, even though we're trying to increase supply and demand's been decreased, but the problem is that as soon as China gets out of these lockdowns and the supply chain gets not restricted, demand's going to go through the roof as they start opening up again, which obviously is going to cause a massive demand for oil as well, which is why there's going to be, which is why it would contribute to an energy crisis. And the last bit was something I didn't actually know, but obviously the oil market is pretty tight right now, but the refining sector is actually even tighter. So obviously you get the oil, but then you've also got to refine it. So like it actually talks about how US oil refineries are already, or like refinery capacity, I guess, in the US is already operating at 95% capacity. So even if we get more oil, or even if the US gets more oil, the extent to which they're going to be able to refine it and actually use it is going to be restricted, which means that it's also not going to drag prices down. Sorry. But yeah, if we actually look at oil prices, it's where is it? Yeah, it's there. So it's at 96 at the moment. It's gone down quite a bit the last month. So it was I think it was 120 something about a month ago. I'm not really sure where it's going to go from here. And obviously oil stocks have also taken a big hit. Some of my big winners like Cerebras, I think it is. Yeah, Cerebras and Chevron, which I've talked about, have both taken a big hit over the last month. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've still been keeping up with the markets. I've just been quite busy because I've got a full-time job now, so it's not as easy to make the videos, but I'm still keeping up with everything. It's still quite fun. So, but yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you later.